Welcome. Today is Wednesday, and it's Daily Cyber number 259. My name is Brandon Krieger. I'm a cybersecurity account executive, and this is Daily Cyber, kind of the truth about cybersecurity, kind of giving you guys the ins and outs, kind of what you can hear in the background in boardrooms, things that you guys really need to know when it comes to cybersecurity. Today, we're going to be talking about advanced hacks for cybersecurity professionals, and guys are breaking into the field. I'm getting a lot of questions around breaking into the industry, what to do, but I also want to make sure you're balancing yourself out because a lot of cybersecurity professionals are starting to burn themselves out because there's just so much to do. So in this episode, I'm going to be talking a lot about that and answering your questions when it comes to cybersecurity, breaking into the industry, things you want to do. So we're going to be covering a lot today. So grab a coffee, grab a tea, and let's hack at it. I'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, Usato. Usato is a Canadian-based cybersecurity company that provides 24/7 cybersecurity support and compliance service that align their customers' tolerance for risk, their clients, suppliers, and government contractual mandates. Usato's teams focus on using insights to drive business decisions. There's no need to leave strategies to chance when insights can be used to show what changes need to be made and how to make them. Usato offers multiple services to help companies simplify IT, centralize cybersecurity management, and meet compliance standards. Usato can customize their service to work with your existing IT network and programs. For more information, contact Usato at info@uzado.com or visit their website at www.uzado.com. So guys, how's your week going? Let me know in the chat. I'm going to get Sec IT to just kind of watch the chat. Just want to see kind of average how your week's going. How's everyone doing in the cybersecurity industry? There's a lot going on right now. People looking for work and looking for jobs. I mean, I think there's zero employment right now when it comes to North America and jobs. As long as you have some experience, you've worked towards getting a certification, Security Plus, I think right now you have a really good in. And then I know Neil has been talking about, how to hack LinkedIn, job interviews. We've had recruiters on the cyber and security network, really to talk about how to break into the industry. If you haven't seen those, I'll get Sec IT to post the content. There's a whole bunch of videos that we have that we can share it with you that you can go and rewatch, which is really going to help you break into the industry, what to study, what to look for, a lot of great things along that line. So I know there's so many people right now that I've talked to and great messages on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for all the messages you guys are sending me, asking great questions. So many people I'm seeing like, I want to break into the industry. Right. And I want to, through this session today, I want to answer your questions. So, post them in the channel. Sec IT guy will be letting me know. And let's kind of get you guys breaking into the industry. Let's get you breaking into the industry right now. All right. Let's get you there. Let's get you, working towards it, or at least in the next 90 days to 6 months that you're already starting to interview and get in there. There's so many jobs out there. I know even for my company, they're evolving and they're starting to hire, we're getting more new staff that's coming on. So it's just amazing. It's amazing to see the industry and the longevity of career when it comes to cybersecurity. I mean, as long as you have this right mindset that you're going to be a student, you're going to constantly be learning, you will have a job for the longest time. Right. And let's put context to this. Anytime there's new technology, right, you're going to be learning that. So everything comes to end of life cycle, firewalls, application, antivirus, you name it. Unified threat management tools. I'm just trying to think, like anything that you can think of software based is always refreshing, is always coming up with something new that us security guys are always learning, always something new. And I think the funny thing was the other day someone said, "Hey, Brandon, I'm an expert in the field." And I'm like, "Great. What are you an expert in?" And they were saying, "Brandon, I'm an expert in firewalls." I said, "But what about this firewall? What about this one? What about UABA and all that?" And they're like, "Yeah, I got that. I'm getting that. But what happens with the AI and all this?" And like, "Well, I'm constantly learning that." So then you're not really technically an expert. You're learning and you're evolving and you're advanced to other people, but you're constantly a student too. And he goes, well, when you say it like that, yeah. I said, and that's where we need to think. We need to kind of be like, we're constantly learning. We're spending, and I talked about studying in my last episode, 20 minutes to maybe an hour a day of constant studying, constant, learning something new, because we're always evolving from what we do day in and day out to what's going on in the industry of what we're learning for our future jobs, our current jobs, right? Breaking into the industry, we're constantly learning. So, guys, post your questions. Let me know any questions you have. But I think it's really important to think about, first and foremost, if you're getting in this career, you're breaking in, am I really passionate about constantly learning, constantly evolving, learning how to study better, learning how to, consume information, right? How busy are you right now that you can break away that time too? I know some of the people, when I was looking in chat, some people have families, they're doing studying after work, they're trying to get it in. And one of the key things I want to just remind you guys is the work-life balance, right? And this is why I keyed this, the title of this is Advanced Life Hacks for Cybersecurity Professionals, because a lot of IT guys, cybersecurity, IT guys get in the industry and we hustle. We hustle. But then we also start working longer hours, even more hours. And there's projects that come up. You got 10, 15 projects on the go. And then you have your own personal projects. And then what happens is now you start working 40, 60, 80 hours a week and you're burnt out. 30 days, 60 days later, you're burnt out. So the question is, how do you manage that? How do you manage it all? Right. And one is chunking the things you want to do. And then two is assessing it to see what the actual value is for you, right? In the sense of, it could be monetary, it could be future growth. How are you assessing that for yourself? And I think it's so important to have that measurement, because it's interesting. I've been having this conversation more and more, is people trying to help people evaluate their time, right? And I'm going to ask anyone here, and there's another question for the channel. Do you know how much you're worth per hour? If you can sit there and say, okay, you know what, Brandon, I'm worth, no matter if I'm working for an employer, I'm working on my own consulting, I'm worth X. For every hour I spend, it's roughly X. So I'm going to use round numbers. Say you're $100 an hour person, right? So anything you do, you're spending $100 an hour. If you can put that number in your mind, you realize you have to be more efficient with your time, right? And where you spend your time. And some people, once they evaluate that, they kind of go, wow, like I'm spending a lot of time doing these things that might not be giving me return on my investment, on my time. And it might even be just rest time, shutting down, shutting off your technology, whenever that, so you can rest and repair, so you stop doing your work. One guy I talked to today, we were sitting there, we're having the conversation, and I go, okay, great. You own your own business. Great. So you're $100 worth an hour. So you're doing your prospecting, you're doing your studying, you're doing all this stuff. And he has like a cybersecurity business, right? You're doing all this great stuff. Okay. So let me ask you, you're $100 an hour. How much time do you spend on marketing? Oh, no, I don't spend any time, like an hour a day, whatever. No, but developing the images, putting out the content, posting it up, doing all that. It's about 3 hours. So I said, it's $300. Okay. Yeah. Right. Whatever. How much time do you spend with clients, right? That you're consulting, you're doing all that. Okay. I spend about, 4 or 5 hours a day with my clients and consulting. So that's paid engagement. Okay. Perfect. So there's revenue there. But what about after, right? After you're doing that, like, do you do follow-up calls? Do you do other things that maybe you're not getting paid for? It ended up, when we finally finished, he was around $600 to $700 of work that he was doing that he wasn't getting paid for. So I said, okay, that's fine. Is it generating you revenue? And he kind of goes, no, well, that $600 now came down to $300 that wasn't generating revenue and wasn't helping him to build. So it wasn't studying. It was kind of time that he was spending doing other things. I said, okay, if you could take that away and, either give that to someone else to do, or if you can just chunk it so you're doing it later and other times where you have more space, how much time would you have back for yourself? He's going to have probably about like 7 or 8 hours a week. I said, what would that mean to you for even just family time and rest and repair? Because I'd be able to rest, take a nap at you through the day or something, study a little bit more. I said, that's the key point. That's the work-life balance that we got to look at, is how do we balance out from what we do, day-to-day job, right? Studying, family life and things along that line, right? Maybe labs and things we're doing at night, and maybe different other projects, and not burn out. And that's what we have to look at, is these things kind of giving value. Now, for me, for this is volunteer, right? I'm giving back to the community because one person, or many actually, I'll be honest with you, gave to me and said, look, Brandon, I'm going to help you in the industry. I'm going to help you break through. Come sit with me and I'll mentor you and I'll give you, answer some questions. I'll do some mentoring for you to help you break into the industry. And I'm like, perfect. I wish I would have had that earlier. I wish I would have had someone that I could have gone to. So for me, it was like, you know what, how can I do that for other people? They're sitting there going, I wish I could give back. And this is my, little slice of me time where I like to be gratitude and give back. So it's always good to do that as well, is to have that time where you give back to the community, give back to charity, what you want to do, and have some gratitude on the people who've helped you out, the people who've got you to where you are, and then helping other people gain that success as well. Streamlining in the sense of coming through different challenges, sharing with them, hey, Brandon, I'm trying to get this job, or I'm trying to do this and I'm having challenges. And you go, have you tried this? And they go, oh my God, I tried that. Like, you guys probably watch, or if you guys haven't watched, Joel and I do the CISSP study group, and we're starting to see people that are going, I've tried to take the test, and since I've been working with you guys and you guys are just helping me study, now I've passed it. Thank you so much. And it's because we're talking not only just the book and the theory, we're talking about real life situations as well, because sometimes on the exam, they talk about scenario based. So if you're in a situation, this would happen, how would you implement in your organization? Well, we're talking about that, how we apply it. And they're like, oh my God, they're soaking that information up. So amazing information on that side. So we want to make sure, and I want to make sure, is I give back to you guys as much as I can. And all the questions and everything that you guys have been, giving back to me, saying, hey, Brandon, I'm trying to break in the industry. I'm trying to get a job. I'm looking at certification. I'm looking at education. I'm looking at what books and resources. For me, that's like, great. Here, let me streamline how I'm doing it. And hopefully that'll help you and streamline your journey. Instead of it taking you 9 months, it might take you 6 months, or maybe even, 3 months. Now you're like, oh my God, this is so much better. Right. And then now you have someone you can pull from, the community and Discord as well, that you can sit there and go, okay, hold on, guys, hold on. I have a question. Hands up. What did you guys do for this? And, senior level people have been there, say, hey, look, I tried that. That didn't work. This is actually what I did, and it got me there. And now you streamline that. So it's that gratitude, and giving back to the community. So again, let's kind of recap just first and foremost. First, getting into the industry. Understanding this is a job for life, right? And it's a job that you're going to be a student of life for this career, first and foremost. Second, make sure, balance out your time, work-life balance, and really have some sort of assessment tool that you evaluate your time management and what you're giving back, right? In the sense of how much time you're spending. Because I'm going to tell you this right now, as cybersecurity professionals, people are going to pull from you. Hey, by the way, I have a question for you. By the way, I need your help or advice on this. By the way, can you help me with this project? By the way. And you got to be able to say, no, I don't have the time. Or if you're a consultant, I can book you in the time slots that I'm working with clients. Here's how it goes. And as you scale your business, you might have to get more cybersecurity consultants, pen testers, and grow that out. But at least you know how to manage your time. And I think that's really important to think about on that side. So again, guys, make sure you ask me any questions that you have. Again, I'm here to help you guys out. This is kind of one of those ask me anything AMA, but I wanted to make sure you guys really get that. Got a question coming in already. Given that we understand the need to always be open to learning new things and always need to learn something new, how do we gauge a baseline by which we can consider ourselves professionally ready? Okay, so perfect question. Actually, you're never going to feel ready, right? You're never going to feel professionally ready, because you're always, once you get to that baseline, there's always going to be that next level. Right. So what you have to do is put yourself out there, right? You have to get in these situations, right? And I'll say situation in the sense of doing low stakes engagement, right? Meaning work with non-for-profits, work with small companies and organizations. If you're a consultant, if you're going for a job, start applying. Start applying for these jobs. Do one certification, read, a book, a course, start kind of getting a baseline, and then start doing the interviews, right? What's the worst they're going to say to you? No, not right now. You're not really ready. And then the education point of this is, great. What do I need? What did I miss? And then you're going to start filling the gaps. They're going to go, you had all this great stuff, but you missed the experience. You missed this one area. If you went back and did that, then most definitely. And then you're like, perfect. And now keep going. And then now you get that one baseline job. And then you get real world experience. Your team starts to train you. You get in there, and now you're going to move up to the next level. Say it's SOC, and I'm going to use SOC because a lot of the guys in here are looking to get into pen testing and all that. But say you get into the SOC level 1, get a lot of experience, 6 months, 1 year under your belt, know quite a bit in that time of working that, the environment for a full year. Then what happens when you go to look for SOC 2 jobs? They're going to go, oh, by the way, you just don't know this one thing. And you're like, okay. And then you go study and you get that, you apply it at your work, what you're doing, and then boom, now you're SOC 2 ready. So, and not SOC 2 compliance on it, but you're a security operation, a security analyst level 2, right? I want to be clear here because SOC 2 is actually a compliance. So hopefully that answers your question. Keep going. If you're looking for professionalism, right, and being, professionally ready, test yourself out. See where you are. What's the worst going to say? They're going to say no, and they're going to then ask the question. Don't be afraid to. Thank you so much for the interview. What do you see that I'm missing that I didn't get this position? And then they're going to tell you, well, you know what? Your work, you kind of knew you didn't have enough experience. We were hoping you had this certification. Perfect. Now, don't get me wrong. If you don't get the interview and you're not getting that, look over the job specs, right, in the description, and have that as your checklist. Need this, need that. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of them are going to be very extravagant. So check with the community and say, okay, guys, I'm looking at this job specification. I want to go for this job. What's real in the real world? And they'll go, scratch out. You don't need SQL, be a SQL database administrator. You don't need to be 5 years a cloud expert. You don't need this, but you do need these. These are actually real. And the community will help you kind of judge that. And there's your roadmap. Study, 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 study. Done. All right. So hopefully that helps. How long does it take a company to figure out that they've been breached, and what is the first call to action? Okay. So what you'll normally find is there's an irregularity in the system, right? Now, if they've been ransomware, I mean, it's instant they find out. But if they're like loss of data, things along that line, and you're seeing that companies are not either one coming public 6 months later, or they're not finding out like until 6 months later that they've been compromised, that hackers have actually been in their system doing reconnaissance, going through their system, infiltrating a lot of things, downloading data, doing all that. And all of a sudden, they notice the logs, they notice the monitoring, and then all of a sudden they flag everything and realize it's April 7th, but they're going back through the logs and realize in February they were actually compromised. That's when the person got in through a forensics investigation and realized that the person's been in since February 7th, right? And they've been going through the system. So it takes companies, quite a bit to, detect and respond if they don't have the right tools in place and the right team in place, right? And we're seeing this in larger organizations. Molson's just got hacked, right? Great team, great people in place, but I mean, they just found out, right? It wasn't too long ago. So it happens. It happens to all organizations who are doing great jobs of security. It's now stepping up, keep stepping it up. So hopefully that answers your question. How to start from scratch for stepping in cybersecurity. Okay. So first and foremost, I always recommend looking at Security Plus, because it's just a great benchmark. It doesn't mean you have to take the exam, but grab the book and read it cover to cover, right? Any of the Cybex, I think the CompTIA Security Plus book, read it cover to cover. It'll give you a baseline of kind of, everything that's in cybersecurity, and then kind of look at, okay, what interests you? What area, what domain interests you? And now start looking for what job you want to go for, and then reverse engineer, Because if you want to be a hacker, you want to reverse engineer that and say, okay, how many years experience do you need? What do I need to know in the sense of technology, administrative controls, technical controls, policies, procedures? What do I need to know as software? And then work your way back and have that as your checklist to kind of break in. Now, depending on where you are in your life, right? Certifications are great to get you in, right? Past the gatekeepers. Looking in the Discord channel, asking people a lot of questions, finding what industry or vertical you want to work in. So if you're in health, if you're in finance, if you're in manufacturing, there's so many different verticals you can actually start to approach. That's really good to kind of look at getting in if you're already in the industry, because you know a little bit about the business, right? And then how they work. It's now how to secure it. Putting on that security hat and saying, okay, now how would I breach that door? How would I get in that system? Is that secure? That key card really secure? And you really kind of think that way, get your minds in that, and now start to think of, well, what can I learn for the organization? Do they have a personal development program that you can talk to HR and say, hey, look, I love to get in the cybersecurity department. Do you guys offer programs, courses, prepaid or repaid courses and programs that if I take something that you guys will help me out with, and that will help you kind of get into. So some different ideas, not knowing your situation. That's what I would recommend. What is your what is your benchmark to tell when you are overworking? Okay, great question. And this is again, Hackiness. Here is one thing that I was reading. If you lay down, hold a spoon in your hand and lay down. If you lay down and the spoon hits the floor, like in the sense of you don't realize you've let go of the spoon, it's very quick, 5-10 minutes, and you fall asleep, you're overworked, you're tired, you're fatigued, right? Second is retention, right? It's retention and energy. If you find that you're reading stuff and you just can't get it, right? Then what happens is through that, you're like, okay, my mind's tired. I'm not able to consume information. I'm fatigued. That means couple key points. First, look at your hydration. Water, right? That's why I have this always with me. Make sure you drink a lot of water. Second, exercise. I recommend for everyone, exercise in the day. Key things, success principle, advanced principle to add into your life and all that. When you get up, the first hour to 2 hours of that day should be for you. Think of it this way, and this is something that I learned in Business 101. Business 101, any successful business person pays themselves first before they pay the government, right? Before they pay their taxes. They make sure they get their money, they get their profits, they isolate for their payments, and then they pay their taxes. No different from when us, for our ability to work and be successful, put in your dues first. Study in the morning, work out in the morning, hydrate, right? Do the things for you first in the morning, and then do things for everyone else. It's called the I, we, and all principle that I used to teach as a holistic lifestyle coach. You got to take of I. I is the foundation. If you had kind of like a triangle, right? Your foundation should be I. The base of that should be I. Then we as your acquaintances, we as your family and friends, very intimate people, and then your acquaintances are at the top. The most amount of energy you want to spend is on you at the start. It's going to build up strength. It's going to build up your energy. It's going to build your focus, your clarity. You want to do that for you. Also, on top of that, what I do, and I've heard about many successful people do, is write a journal, right? Write a journal in the morning, write a journal at night. Piece of paper, what do you want to do? In that journal, write down gratitude, 3 things that you're grateful for. What are you going to achieve for today? Right. And actually, I'll give you guys this right now. I'm actually going to pull this up on mine because I actually have a journal here. So I have mine. 5 things I'm grateful for. What would make today great? 3 things I write there. And then my daily incantation, right? And incantation means it's emotional, it's energetic. It's something that's it's not just like a motivation, like I'm really good, I'm really good. It's something that you actually feel for yourself. It helps to motivate you and keep you focused on what you want to do, right? And then something that is really important to get your day started. And then at the end of my day, and just give me a second here, I write, just pulling up here. I write 3 amazing things that happened to me today, right? And how could I make today even better? So some just checking back in, like what didn't work that would have made it better. And this will give you a self-evaluation, start of your day, end of your day, so that you can, and it only takes 5-10 minutes. Sometimes it takes longer. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes I sit there and for an hour and write a journal at night because I'm debriefing all the things I've dealt with. But when I do that, it makes me check in with myself and what I've learned, what I've, evaluated. And it's amazing because now it's a self-evaluation for me. It gives me a testing to measurable results is some strategy I learned from Egan Pagan is when you're testing what you're doing, if it's working, you get to now modify, you check in with yourself. And if you do it like I do electronically on my iPad, I can now search and go back through the year and see what successes I had, what things I've learned, and it's just amazing. So that's one, really kind of long answer to say, what's your benchmark. First is, again, I'm going to just recap: spoon test, have a spoon in your hand, go lay it down on the couch, see if that drops really quickly. If it does, like if you fall asleep and you're laying down and you just fall asleep and you drop it, you don't realize you do, then what happens? You're probably really exhausted. Right. Second is trying to evaluate your mind. Can you study? Are you energetic at the end of the night? Oh, 3, I want to add this, the 3 o'clock crash. How many of you guys have the 3 o'clock crash where you're at 3 o'clock and you're like, oh, I need a coffee, right? I need a power drink. That's generally you're overworked and you're fatigued, right? You're done, right? That's when you have to look at resting, repairing, hydration, good quality food. I eat, constantly throughout the day, good, healthy food. So those are some things to help you. Exercise in the morning, all those great things. Watch this video back if you have any questions, or let me know. Let Sec IT guy know if you have any questions. Just put it in the chat and I'll answer more. Next, if a hacker is in the woods hacking with an Actinol keyboard, nobody else is around, does it make a sound? That's a very interesting question. Now, if he's hacking, does he hear the sound? That's a good question, right? I'm going to ponder that one. I'll get back on that one. We're going to, Sec IT, leave that one for me. I'm going to ponder that one, right? Because that's the one, if the tree falls in the wood and no one's around, does it really make a sound? It's a good question, but what if a hacker does that? What if he's hacking there? I think he'll hear the sound. Next question. Do you need to know any programming language for pen testing? Scripting language, programming language is not bad to have and understand. Scripting language, I've heard a lot of pen testers use to automate their pen testing. And have different scripts they run. So any scripting language, one that when I was starting to learn Python programming or starting to learn pen testing, I was learning Python programming because that was supposed to be the easiest and fastest to learn. All right. So I'd recommend kind of looking at that. Talk to the pen testers in Discord, see if which ones they do. And also, depending if you're doing application pen testing. If you're doing application pen testing, most definitely I would recommend learning a programming language. That's your path you want to go because you want to know how it works first, and then so you can pen test and compromise it. Next question. How do you figure if your certs equate to a degree? I have many certifications, but no college degree. I am also very early in my career, so it's hard to compare to jobs that want a 4-year degree with no experience, for example. Okay, this is a good question. First question I have for you, just kind of put this back to get you kind of thinking, right? Do you really need a degree? Right? And how are you measuring the degree to certifications? How I would measure it is job and income. If I'm getting jobs with my certifications and I'm getting the income that I want, does the degree really matter? Right? And that's what you have to look at. If I'm going through that path, now let's give it a caveat. If it's a technical roles, majority of the time they don't look for degrees. They look for certifications or knowledge in that area of education, certifications or degrees, but they look for that equivalent. They kind of say degree or certifications equivalent of, but then they look for experience. Do you have experience in the area? Right? Because they want to make sure that they get someone that's in there. And then from there, you're moving up. Now, when you're looking at managerial roles, a lot of them still are looking for degrees because they want them to have some thinking process behind them. They want to understand theory. They really want to kind of work through that. and they're still on that side. Now, it's not impossible to have certifications with experience and get into managerial roles. It just, some companies want senior levels, directors, VP, and above, C-suite, to have a degree. So depending on where you want to go in your career path, I would say if you're doing a lot of certifications right now and you want to test this to measurable results, go see your jobs, see what job you want to get into, work from that way back, see if you can get the job that you really want, and see what's the benchmark and holding you back. Now, I like to kind of get you to respond back to me. Let me know what job you're trying to get into. I'd like to hear that. Next question. Hey guys, speaking of cloud, what is the trend you are seeing regarding cloud certifications? I have a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, Security Plus, Azure Fundamentals, CYSA. What would you guys look into aside from CISP, GCIP, and OSCP? Okay. If you're going to security, the path that you had for certification, OSCP, depending on if you want to be pen test, if you want to be a more managerial role, CISSP. If you're going to cloud fundamentals and you want to be a cloud security, look into the companies that you want to work for and see if you can find out what cloud solutions they're using, and then go that direction. If they're using Azure, right? If they're using AWS, I know AWS is more, from what I'm hearing, and I'll just say my point of view, I'm hearing a lot more people going AWS certifications. Now, not sure why that is. I don't know if they're just easier to take, right? Because they're more accessible and available. I don't know if it's now, and from what I'm hearing is like just more companies are going to AWS. I don't know if it's the pricing model, the speed of the technology, right? How they're helping support their clients. All I'm saying is try to find out for you which cloud solution you like to work with, and then work your way back if you want to do that, especially when you look at cloud solutions and security. Now, I know a colleague that's actually doing cloud security, and she's busy. So if you want to go into cloud security, I would just follow that path. Azure fundamentals, looking at the engineer architecture role, training, certifications, move your way up, and then having a security mindset in that point where you're like, okay, hold on a second here. Let me know how I would secure this through this whole process. What can I compromise? That's your questions. Guys, the key to success, guys and ladies that are here, the key to success for being in cybersecurity is always asking, how would I compromise this? What if I was a hacker, what would I do? How would I compromise this? How would I manipulate this? How would I breach this? And have that mindset for everything you're doing, right? Doesn't mean, and I want to be very clear here. So, little waiver here. I'm not telling you to breach them. I'm not telling you to hack anything, right? Don't want you to go into an engagement and get in trouble. I'm saying have that thought process. Ask yourself that question, because it'll get you into the security mindset constantly. So then what happens is, as you're going through this, you're going to be like, yeah, you can do this, this, and this. When I worked physical security, that was constantly on my mind, constantly day and out. We have CCTV cameras, we have sensors, we have that. But could I just go right through the window? And what would be the response time for the police, right? Or security guards? How fast could they respond? How fast could I grab that? Interesting. Okay. So now more patrols, more of this. Now I look at solutions. How would I fix that? Same thing that you guys are thinking about, pen testing, or even your blue team. I'm setting up this firewall application, whatever that may be, DHCP, Active Directory. We're setting up, hardening, and getting everything ready. How would I break into that? How would I compromise that? What would I do? So administrative controls, counts privileges. Can I get access through, some sort of port? How would I get access to this? And then when you start thinking that, it makes you very creative in different ways. And now you kind of look at, okay, I have to make sure this is locked down. This is locked down. Now, don't get me wrong. There's white papers on a lot of these that say how to harden. So you just check through it, look through it. Okay, white paper. There's a vulnerability report on top of that. Okay, hold on. What's the vulnerability? Oh, is that secure online? And it just gets you in that mindset. So hopefully that answers your question. When all these companies want cybersecurity experience, does that mean any area? Basically, what I mean is, there a wrong first job in cybersecurity? Good question. Is a wrong first job? I would say yes. And I'm gonna give you some context to that. The wrong first job is the one you don't want to do, right? And the one you're not going to enjoy and learn from. Prime example, say you hate writing policies and procedures, but there's a compliance job, cybersecurity compliance, great job, great pay. Say you are terrible at grammar, you hate writing policies. It's the vein of your experience, right? You just, oh, I don't want to sit there and just write policies, business impact analysis, business continuity, disaster recovery, instant response. You're just like, oh my God, this is like nails in a chalkboard. That would be the worst job. If you're like, hey, I want to go into a SOC, go for the SOC, go right for it. Right? Get the basic experience or knowledge. Some of the first SOC jobs, some of them say like, you know what? Zero experience will train you up as long as you have a security plus. So you have some knowledge, a little bit of base education. We'll bring you in, we'll train you. Right? That's perfect. And I wanted to say that. Now, don't get me wrong. I want to say this very clearly. There's nothing wrong with a compliance job, someone that specializes in compliance. It all comes down to if that's something you do not like. That's when it becomes the wrong job for you, right? The wrong first job. And then how do you know that? Are you someone, and let's put the hat on of SOC compliance, whatever that may be. You know, if you're a compliance, do you like writing? Right? Do you like procedures? Right? Do you like policies and procedures? Do you like subsections and addendums and doing all that? Is that something you wake up in the morning and go, you know what? Are you Sheldon? Are you like, oh my God, I got a legal contract I have to write, and you're excited about it? Or are you like, oh my God, I have to read this contract. This is terrible. I don't want to do it. Then maybe compliance is not for you. It's not something you're interested in, right? SOC role. You know, are you interested in looking at, monitoring logs and all, talking to clients and do that? Maybe that's something you're not interested. Maybe you are on the other side where you like compliance. I'm using those as an example to kind of get you to think in that mindset, really kind of go through that. Yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions about that. So advanced strategies, and we'll keep going back into that. Make sure, again, you guys ask lots of questions. Again, if you guys know anyone, colleagues, friends, anyone along that line that wants more cybersecurity information, gave you a little bit of a golden nugget, like, hey, you know what? I want to break in the cybersecurity industry. I want more information. Have them come out to the cybersecurity channel, right? Tell them to subscribe, come out to the Discord channel. We want to grow this. We want to get as many people out here because there's so many people that want to evolve and grow in this field. We want to be that community. We want to be that community that's going to help and give value. From Neil, Sec IT guy, all right, Fraser, all the community themselves, all the streamers, we're all trying to give back. So make sure you guys ask questions, keep them coming. So let's go back into kind of the advanced, hacking strategies or hack strategies for our lives. So we've gotten to taking care of yourself, sleeping, exercise, kind of doing all that. The next thing is studying. How many of you guys are studying every single day? Post that in the channel. Let me know. I want to see how many people are studying every single day. Just me. I study every single day. Just put that in the channel. All right. If you're doing that, that's perfect. But make sure, and here's the caveat, you're actually able to study. I've talked about this before. I've really kind of want to hit this home. I want to make sure that you're retaining the information. So if you study every day, I want you to write your notes down, what you're studying. I want you to review it 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, and then 3 weeks or 4 weeks, a month after. And if you recall that information without reading it, right, you're just instant, then you're studying properly. If you're not, then what happens is we have to kind of modify and optimize your studying, because you should be able to recall it that I get you in a meeting and I say, okay, you know what? John Doe, tell me about the OSI model. Tell me about the new Amazon principles of security. If you've been studying that, you should be able to go, okay, perfect. If you're not getting it perfect and kind of ramming it through, it just means you haven't retained it yet. So you're studying methods, and then I'm saying, if I test you 4 weeks later, so we've got April 7th, say May 7th, I say, okay, John, come in my office. let's talk about this. I want you to go through all the security principles for Amazon. And you're like, I have no clue. One is this, making sure that you secure each cloud instance. Second is you secure the VPN. Third is policies and passwords. And next is, account policies. I think if you're at that point, that tells me, okay, we have to optimize your studying. You might be tired, fatigued when you're studying. You might kind of be burnt out. You're not retaining the information. So when you do that, remember, review 1 hour after, 1 day after, 1 week after, and then make sure you review it, 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks after, and see if you can recall it. So write out a list, right? Write out your list, like 1 to 5, 1 to 10 of things that you've covered. Try to keep it clear and concise so that you can just go bang, right? And some people, what they do, and I'm starting to work on myself, is that I'm starting to mind map things. And what that basically means is, I'm just reviewing it for you guys. Some maybe don't know this, but you guys probably know this. This is mostly review. In the center, main topic, right? Your subsections are the branches out, right? And you branch those out, and those subsections, you should be able to call those subsections and study them. And when I mention each of those subsections, you should be able to go, that's what that topic is. And yes, I know what that is. And then the main topic, say, and I'm just going to say it's domain number 1 of the CISSP, right? Domain 1 is, I'm just trying to think right now. I actually ran a blank. Domain 1 of the cybersecurity policies is trying to think. 1.1 is professional ethics, right? Second, 1.2 is security concepts. And then 3 right now, I'm just going through, is security governance and principles, right? And that's only in domain 1, right? Which is security risk and management. So that's stuff I have to work on. I'm working on right now, preparing for my exam. So you can see I've been studying with Joel and kind of going through that, but now I'm going to hardcore getting ready for my test studying. So I'm now doing the things that I'm teaching you guys to do that, right? So when you do the mind map and you draw that out, you want to make sure the center is kind of your main topic. You have your subsections underneath. And then when I say that main topic, it should recall, it almost be like a wave coming over you, like, oh my God, and there's 13 areas in that, and this is what I'm covering. So let me know if you have any questions about that. So mind map. Next is when you're studying, there's a pie technique that I talked about, I think, the other night. All right. A pie technique of taking some information, whatever that may be, short, clear, and concise. And then what you want to do is you want to bring it into your memory. So the first is try to identify a place with it, right? That somewhere you can actually look at memorizing that. So if it's in your office, visualize the office, visualize kind of that place, right? The next you want to do is the imagine it. Make it extreme. Now, yesterday I talked about, and it was anyone there yesterday for yesterday's stream? Comment below, because I don't want to mention this unless you guys are there, because I'm going to test you guys and see. I'll see you guys as you. I'm going to just have a drink of water. Let me know if you guys were there for yesterday's CISSP study group. If you were, I was talking about Papa Smurf. So if you can remember what Papa Smurf meant. Okay, so if I'm telling you Papa Smurf, right? What do you guys remember from that? Do you guys, anyone? What was the relation of Papa Smurf? Perfect. I see starting seeing Smurf attacks. Perfect. So what we were talking about yesterday was an OSI model, and we were going through, I think it was layer 5, and we were talking about Smurf attacks, layer 5, 6, and 7. And we're talking about Smurf attacks. And I was saying one way to remember that is PIE, putting a place, imagining it, and then entwining that place in that imagine. So imagine, a Smurf attack. So Papa Smurf's doing a Smurf attack in Smurf Village. He's doing that. If I give you that image, you're going to think of Smurf attack and you're going to laugh, right? Because you're going to think of Papa Smurf, right? Sitting there hacking away, right? And you're not going to forget that because it's going to be so fun. Now, if you did that a few times, 1 day or 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, right? 4 weeks after. 4 weeks after I said Papa Smurf to you, you'd go, "Oh my God, yes, he's doing a Smurf attack at Smurf Village. Brainy's watching, everyone's watching him, right?" So when you're doing that, it helps to ingrain in your mind, because how we learn, and anyone that's have kids, right, understands this. How we learn is we point and we visualize first. We go, ah, ah. We don't say cow. We don't point where, we just point at the cow thing, and then someone tells us cow, that's a cow, right? Our imagination, our retention works the same way, is that we visualize things. The more we visualize and get emotion to it, imagination and emotion, the longer we're going to learn that. So think about stuff that you're having a real hard time learning, right? Try to get your imagine. If you're like, I'm struggling with this, Brandon, I'm struggling with different types of attacks, cross-site scripting, Smurf attacks, things like that. Now make them use the pie principle. Place, imagine, entwine. I'm telling you right now, you do that, totally different. You're going to start memorizing them. And then what happens is someone's going to recall them, and then boom, you're going to be like, hey, what about cross-site scripting attack? Cross-site, right? What can you think about cross-site, right? Can you think of crosshairs, like a gun shooting, cross-site, can you think of a train crossing? Like there's all these things you can come up with, right? And when you come up with that and you imagine, so the place would be, say down the street from me, there's a crosswalk, right? And that crosswalk that someone's actually breaking into, they're breaking it down. So cross-site attack, right? I can actually come up with that. And then now I'll laugh, I'll kind of imagine that. And next time someone says cross-site scripting attack, right? I might think of someone doing graffiti on that crosswalk. Right. And then what happens now, I'm going to say cross-site scripting attack. Well, at the crosswalk, someone's doing, scripting, right? They're doing graffiti. Perfect. Now I remember that. Right. So things along that line, just to get your imagination going, really kind of doing that. So yeah, it's place, imagine, entwine, ENTWIN. All right. So if you guys want that, all right, PI is the place, right? It's just an acronym. Right, just so that you remember that. Guys, keep the questions coming. So that's help with your imagination when you're doing kind of learning, because we have so much to cover, so much to think about as we're going with IT. There's just so much stuff, and stuff is complex, right? Cybersecurity, IT, whatever that may be. There's so much complex information that it's hard for us to keep retaining, right? So we have to figure out ways to help to optimize our mind, and our mind is just a muscle, right? The more that we actually start to build on it, start to study and do all that, the bigger it grows, the more we can retain. So, and this is a really kind of help you guys, right? As you're doing with IT, cybersecurity testing, pen testing, things like that, you want to do if you have a list of different methodologies and attack methods, you want to be able to recall them on site. You don't have to look up Excel spreadsheet or things like that. Your attack protocols, you don't have to look it up. You want to be able to recall them. You want to be able to do that. And this is a way to help you do that, to really kind of get them in your mind. So that's one of the things I'm recommending people for, studying right now. How do you prioritize what you learn first? That's a good question. I always look at for myself, where am I the weakest? So actually, let me take a step back. First, job role. Like I said, look at your job description, where you want to go. That's kind of my roadmap. Then I look at one of the two things. What's the most hardest and more technical to get, that it's such I guess what you say, like a hurdle for me to get there? What's the easiest? So I'll knock off the easiest first, right? Try to get through those as quickly as possible, because then I know them. I kind of know them. It's easy to do. And then what happens is when I get to that threshold where there's something now that's like, okay, this is a mountain I have to climb, then I start working on that. And then I start looking at, if I have 3 mountains, which one's going to be the most beneficial first out of those 3 mountains? If it's 3, I'll work on 3 first. Then if it's 1's next, and then 2, right? 2, say it's way out there. Say it's OSCP for me. I'm just going to say that's because I'm not really a pen tester. I've done a little bit of studying all that, but say it's way out there for me. I have to learn the pen testing methodology. We'll have to look at, bringing on different tools, Kali Linux, learning Linux, doing all that stuff. But to actually, say upon a SQL server, that might be way up there for, okay, I got to learn Linux first. I got to learn Kali Linux and the Linux command lines and things along that line. Linux command lines will be first, then, poning a SQL server will be way up on my list, right? To kind of give you an idea. That's how I would look at it. Do you think do you think we have our own version of SolarWinds on Russia, China that's like top secret? I have a feeling, I'm going to kind of keep this is my opinion. I think cyber warfare is going on in the background. Things we do know and hear, things we have no clue and we'll never hear about. Right. And I think that's constantly going on. And I think there's always this cybersecurity battle that's going on in the background that we just are not aware of. I'll give you another analogy. How many people know about like the dark side of their city? Right. The things that go on, that goes bump in the night, right? The guys that are just kind of like, like the drug dealers and things that are going on. I put that in an analogy for people where it's sometimes we just are not exposed to things that we just don't know. We don't know. Right. And when it comes to like cyber warfare, right, and things are happening on the government level, military level, there's things we're not even just aware of that they're doing. I've asked this before in the Discord, but want your opinion. I just started learning. Are the HTB labs a good starting point? Depends on where you're coming from. Now, it's one to be confirmed here. You mean Hack the Planet? Is that the one you're talking about? If you're saying that, depending on your level of knowledge, if you're coming in and to be fair, not knowing your experience, say you're coming in and you're a tool and die guy, never touched a computer, might be a big leap. Not saying that you can't do it, but might be a big leap. All right. Oh, hack the box. Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. So yeah, say it might be a big leap if you're coming from like tool and die, being an electrician, and you don't touch a computer and now you're trying to hack a box, might be a big leap, right? If you have some computer knowledge, basic knowledge, understanding Kali Linux, kind of things along that line, or you can learn very quickly, I'd say go for it, right? INE has the pen testing course, things along that we're recommending people to go because it kind of goes right through it, giving people the knowledge and expertise. So that's kind of my recommendation for starting out. If you're kind of first starting out in cybersecurity, right, and kind of getting into pen testing, Hack the Box is great to get your skills, to really kind of get your feet dirty and hands on keyboard, right, and seeing what you can do, right. And I think it's important to really kind of look at that. So guys, we have another 6 minutes just to let you guys know. So rapid fire questions, let me know. A little bit on my side here while I just wait for you guys' questions to come in. Over the next probably 6 months to the end of the year, you guys are going to get busier and busier, right? Even more guys that are in the industry, guys that are breaking into the industry, it's going to get busier and busier because the evolution of different technologies. Now, one thing that I'm hearing, quantum computers, encryption, right? The more quantum computers that come out, the more challenge that we might have when it comes to, popping encryption, right? And compromising that. So you're going to hear a lot of problems with data and data protection. So that's going to be a big thing. And then companies are going to be looking for, you've got the CMMC for the DoD. That's going to be huge, right? That's coming out in the next year to 2 years, but companies are starting to look now how to, meet the compliance needs. So that's another big thing they look at. Next thing is the resource shortage. Companies are still looking for great resources. Resources, us guys, and girls, right? In cybersecurity. Do you know assembly? And if so, how does that knowledge help you in your job? No, I do not know assembly. As far as I know, assembly is programming language. Just let me see here. So I don't know assembly. It's a low-level programming language. Don't know it. Is it good to know? for a job, for coding, programming, for sure. And that's very specific. And I'm going to actually go back into, yeah, and I'm getting, from Sec IT guys saying probably not a good idea. Right. Cause I'm trying to think of like, how would you use that? Right. If you're doing application pen testing, maybe it might be beneficial, but it's a long route to go to learn, assembly language, and then go back into pen testing. So I would say probably not, unless your assembly is something you already know. If you already know it, it might be good to help you. But I mean, that's a programming language. Sits here. Malware analyst or reverse engineer software programming language at a processor level. So there you go. So to give you an idea of assembly, just give me a second here. Next question. Do you think real technical certificates like OSCP are valuable if I'm targeting towards more managerial job? Okay. What is the OSCP? OSCP is directed towards pen testers, right? It's the methodology of not only understanding how to compromise and engage into, almost like capture the flag type methodology, but also reporting and making sure that you're able to write reports after. For managerial roles, I would say, and this is my personal opinion, it's not the best path or direction, right? It's kind of a long path unless you want to be a team lead or a manager in a pen testing organization, maybe, because to be able to do that. But if you're looking at security managerial roles and you're looking at a faster track to get there, I would say the best way to do that is CSSP and those type of certifications.